to, as I was saying, the objectives that you have, what are you trying to communicate, what resources you have, do you have the possibility to have a slide deck, do you have the possibility to use video and audio, for instance, or are you in front of a someone that you want to talk about, but you don't have any preparation. It's just something that suddenly the opportunity showed up, and you want to take that advantage. So take always into consideration what restrictions you have, right? What is the time that you will have, and what is the content that you will be communicating. So now there are, as I was saying, different types of pitch, and we will just focus today on the demo pitch, which is what is relevant for us today. But know that there are some other structures that you can use, right? First is, of course, when you are communicating a concept and you have enough time to go through something in depth, and you can, communicate features, do a broader explanation of what you are talking about. But also there's the elevator pitch, right? Like you happen to be in an elevator with this one successful businessman that you want to share your idea, or you happen to be next to the president of the bank and you want him to endorse you for a project that you have been working on, and you only have what it takes to go from first floor all the way to 10th floor. So you have to be more accurate. You have to be very assertive with what you are communicating. And there's also the demo pitch, which is what we will be doing tomorrow. Here it says 5 minutes. However, for us it's going to be 4. So we're going to have less time for tomorrow pitch. And when you are doing a demo pitch, you're focusing on sharing what the problem is, what the solution is. In this case, of course, the viability of what we are trying to build, the validation that we did, and showing whether it's a prototype, some minimum viable product, or some tests that you did during the exercise. So, as I was saying, let's focus on the demo pitch. And the demo pitch will require this following items. So ideally, the stories that you will be communicating tomorrow will include a problem, a solution, again, the viability, as I was saying, validation, prototype, or minimum viable product, which is showcasing what you built or the exercises that you did. And of course, talk about your team. It's important, right? It's important to give some not only recognition to the people that is taking part of the project, but also giving some like validation or endorsement to the skill sets that are gathered together in this project. So in the beginning, you have to have a hook, right? It's important to have a hook. It's important to capture people's attention, right? So what is that hook? How are you going to do it? Are you going to be asking them for a question? Are you going to be telling them a story? Are you going to be perhaps sharing some personal experience? What is the hook that you will have, that you want to communicate? Who are you? That is important, right? Who am I? Am I an expert about the topic that I want to talk about? Am I someone random that is just thinking that this is a cool idea to figure out? It's important to talk about yourselves in a very brief way, like just you are representing a team, right? So just let the audience know who is talking to them. Then what is the problem you're trying to solve? What is it that we have identified as a great opportunity to bring this project live, right? Why are we wanting to solve this project, to solve this problem? How big is the problem, right? How is it a very big problem? Is it something that many people is suffering, or is it something that only a handful of people or a few people have, right? So this gives some context, right? How painful this is, for how many people this pain is current, is relevant. Then what's the solution? How did we come up with a solution that will provide a like a good approach to bringing solving this problem, right? Then what's the viability? Why is it a good idea to invest? Why should the bank or the senior leadership team should care about this at all? Is it something that not only will save some money or be more, in this case, not necessarily more profitable, but will save us money or will enable people to work closer or to connect and engage in a more meaningful way? Why is this viable and how viable it is? Now, what have you done during these past few days? That is very important for you to communicate. It's not about what you are going to do in the future, it's about what you've done so far. So this laboratory of experimentation for you have been or is a great resource to focus your attention in doing some progress. So what's the progress that you've done so far, right? And for that, we have two specific items that are being evaluated, right? Validation and prototype. So validation specifically, have you talked to the customers, to the users of your solution? Have you gathered relevant information that they that can like support the case that you are building? It's very important for you to come up with some information that you've been gathering with your colleagues at the group. If you have spoken with if you are affecting, country offices, what kind of information have you gathered? Then, speaking about the prototype, right? What have you built? Did you build a solution based on technology, or did you use other resources to build something that could help you prove your point? Some of you are building some repositories. Some others are building tools to connect people in more meaningful ways. Some others are gathering information just to share experiences. How are you building and how are you testing the solution that you are proposing for solving your problem? Then make a quick summary, right? What it was about. Quick summary of what the problem is, what the solution was, what's the viability, how's the validation, what's the showing your prototype, and finally, as I was saying, close talking about your team, right? Give some perspective about who your team was, why you are the people that are the most qualified to solving this problematic that you've identified, and share that with the rest of the group. Now, some tips for pitching. This is perhaps one of the key elements of this presentation. This was more about structure. Let's now talk about what you are using and the way you are presenting. First of all, people is not here to read, so avoid making this common mistake, right? We don't want to have tons of text that is essentially competing against you. I will be reading what you are telling me, so should I pay attention to you or should I pay attention to the text that you have entered? Don't compete with your presentation, right? Like putting data in this fashion is very complicated for people to understand, to digest. So be mindful of your audience. You are trying to convince a group of judges to vouch for your ideas. And when you present something like this, you are diverting all the attention to trying to understand what's written in there, right? This is more of a support, right? This helps you, focus the attention to what you are saying and just understand the key elements or the key components of what you are talking about. Right? So it's very simple. Try to use always no more than 3 or 4 items in your presentations. This is a great example. Maybe most of you have to be, I assume, familiar to these presentations. They happen every 6 months, as I understand. This is what we are aiming for, right? We are aiming to communicating in very small, very concise items, great ideas that will support what we are talking about. So think about finding images that can make an example of what you are talking about, can support that example, and use just one or two taglines. This is another use case, and if you can find the mistake in there, I will give you extra points. It is just kidding, but yeah, there's a mistake. But it's real life. Like this is the kind of aids that you want to build for your presentations. I will leave you with this little GIF that is very wise, as it has some non very obvious recommendations. Try to avoid this one, please. Don't do that. Focus on images, graphs, charts. Build a compelling story that has, a tone, it has a beginning, then you build a momentum at some point, then you go down to have a compelling close. And I think this is not a coffee break time, but I think one other thing that is helpful for you is when you are standing in front of the crowd, be mindful of the items and the elements that you are using for that, right? You have not only your presentation, but you also have yourself. You also have your body language, right? So try to use your hand. Try to avoid, like walking all over the place, right? Because that's distracting. That's putting more pressure into the judge's attention. So just stay there. You want to stress something, you can come closer. If you want to give some space to reflect, just keep quiet. And then try to re-engage people by playing with your tone. The one other mistake that people tend to do is they are speaking and for some reason their hands are moving, right? Like they are live, and they start like doing like this, and all of a sudden the mic is gone. So don't forget that you are talking towards the mic. The mic should be always pointing at your mouth, right? Whatever you move, the mic moves with it. Okay? And sometimes you will find that speaking directly to the mic will start like sounding like this, and it's more like disturbing. So you can just put it right below your chin, and that way you will avoid having echoes and things like that. That's it. I hope it's useful for you. And if you have any questions, please come talk to me. Come talk to Aldo and Luis. We are here to help. Thank you, guys, and see you in 45 minutes for your pitch practice.
There's a question here.
Yes, questions.
Can we get lapel mics?
Can we get the what?
The lapel, the microphones for the